Good evening. This is Donnie Fuchs of Abraham Shield. Lessons from Rambam. I want to speak a little bit about a very core lesson we need to incorporate in our lives from the Rambam. It relates specifically to the egregious sin of offending, of hurting, of speaking ill, of gerim to Judaism. It's well known. I'm speaking specifically relating to the world of our mission at Abraham Shield, of exposing missionaries. There are gerim involved in our endeavor. There are righteous Gentiles also, Noachites. But there are gerim, some who've come from that world of missionizing and evangelical, and they intimately understand the dangers of missionaries. So some, with zealousness and passion, they bring this experience. Some of the greatest experts in this arena are people who were leaders in that world. And some of the people, religious Jews, unbelievable. It's bad enough if they malign those of us who try to expose these actions that they're involved in by aligning with evangelicals, the terrible things, the running of us through the mud, the maligning, the slander. It's bad enough of a sin, particularly because we're correct. It's bad enough that they lie and they accuse us of calling them missionaries, when that's not the case at all. We constantly have tried to reach out and have civil discussions. When you come after a ger and some of the perverse, disgusting stuff that some of the friends and some of these people themselves, these Jews who are involved with evangelicals. So I want to read a little bit from Rambam, from his famous letters. What's so beautiful about the letters of the Rambam that we have, Maimonides. The letters show a side to Rambam. It shows the tzaddik. You want to get the legalistic, the philosophical, there are certainly writings. And you want to really see the Rambam, or some nice glimpses into the neshama, the heart, the soul, the man who bled and loved Jews. Look at the correspondences he had with Jews. To Avadia, a famous ger, letter to an inquirer. This is from Rabbi Dr. Isidore Tversky's Zatzal, from his Maimonides reader, where he translated some of his great letters. So this was a letter from a ger who was very hurt, and he wrote to the Rambam because his rebbe or his teacher had called him a fool because he said basically that Muslims weren't idolaters. It's the Rambam have a few issues to address, but the greatest issue was, of course, the tremendous insult to the ger. Terrible, terrible sin, unbelievable sin. So I'm going to read what the Rambam said to comfort this wonderful Jew. When your teacher called you a fool for denying that Muslims are idolaters, he sinned grievously. And it is fitting that he ask your pardon, though he be your master. Then let him fast and weep and pray. Perhaps he will find forgiveness. Was he intoxicated that he forgot the 33 passages in which the law admonishes concerning strangers? For even if he had been in the right and you in error, it was his duty to be gentle. How much more when the truth is with you and he was in error? And when he was discussing whether a Muslim is an idolater, he should have been cautious not to lose his temper with a proselyte of righteousness and put him to shame. For our sages have said, he who gives way to his anger shall be esteemed in your eyes as an idolater. And how great is the duty which the law imposes on us with regard to proselytes. We are commanded to honor and fear our parents. We are ordered to hearken to the prophets. A man may honor and fear and obey without loving. But in the case of strangers, we are bidden to love with the whole force of our heart's affection. And he called you fool? Astounding. A man who left father and mother, forsook his birthplace, his country, and its power, and attached himself to this lowly, despised, and enslaved race, who recognized the truth and righteousness of this prophet people's law, and cast the things of this world from his heart. So such a one be called fool? God forbid, not witless, but wise has God called your name. You disciple of our father Abraham, the namesake of our organization, Abraham Shield, Magen Avram, of our father Abraham, who has also left his father and his kindred and inclined Godward. And he who blessed Abraham will bless you, and will make you worthy to behold all the consolations destined for Israel. And in all the good that God shall do to us, he will do good to you, for the Lord has promised good to Israel. Very sobering looks at what the point the Rambam wanted to emphasize. You happen to be right. To the gerim who are involved in this, who received, they're run through the mud. I've seen it. I've heard it. I've read it. I've It's outrageous. It's such a chilul Hashem. Because the standard, the sin of hurting another Jew, what they do takes it to another level, the ger. And when the ger calls out, like the orphan or the widow, he calls out to Hashem. You do not want that on your head. And here's a final message to the righteous converts, big and small, across the world. Anyone who would attack you has got something seriously wrong with their soul, particularly when you're correct, when you bring a wisdom and a life experience. Like Abraham, like Avraham Avinu. Take courage in the righteousness of your cause, in the courage and your convictions and your integrity. We're drawing close to Purim. And another wise man stood up. Another wise man. Mordechai HaYehudi. Let's take a lesson from Mordechai, who stood up and was unafraid and said what needed to be said, even when it was dangerous, and even when so many had sinned around. But he was wise and he was courageous. And so to the Mordechais and the Esthers, big and small, keep your head up, keep fighting for the truth, make sure that you direct your energies specifically for the righteous cause and proceed carefully and ask Hashem for guidance, that you always infuse your passion is not running amok, but that your passion, as it is with these people, is guided by your Jewish intellect, by your Jewish heart, your intuition, and the passion gives fuel to the correct Torah ideas. Have a good night.